When did the left become pro-war?
Under Obama.
Under Obama.
They didn't want to protest him doing the exact same thing that they protested Bush doing.
Clinton was pro-war. He was just
They
doing it
all
with
are.
a smile. I know.
Yeah.
The left became pro-war after World War II because they want to prevent World War III, so they set up military bases all over the earth.
Is that what it was?
Yeah. It's called the, they call it, Eisenhower called it the military-industrial complex.
Right. But what I'm saying is, I remember early 2010s, people protested. I remember 2000s. War is bad. Bush is bad. War is bad. Then Obama gets in. War is good now.
Yeah, the people that were screaming anti-war weren't left. They were like centrists. The people that I don't think they're
but
far
the left was on. So I'll tell you what it was.
Maybe they were anti-Bush too.
No, it was because I was coming of age during Bush. I was a teenager during Bush, seeing all of these people claim to be my ally and my friend, saying war is bad, and I genuinely thought war was bad. I'm like, I look at this stuff and this is bad. And then as soon as Obama got elected, I'm still standing there holding the sign saying war is bad, and they go, we're gonna get out of here. And I'm like, but war is bad. Yeah, but our guy won, so it's all you,
right,
buddy.
the
And they walk away.
identitarian split. You know,
It's not
the
identitarian, it's
identitarian
tribalists.
anti-war guys, because they'll go off with their candidate when he wins and go to war
You mean
with them.
tribalist?
Yeah, or whatever.
Identitarian is a reference to
People
like,
that worship somebody.
that's not identitarian.
It's the anti-war concept that pervades. It's forget who's in charge. If they're going to war, you got to turn on them. You got to stop the war.
Yeah.
I think there are instances where war is unfortunate but good. I think there are a lot of instances where the U.S. is engaging in extremely stupid and bad war that's just bad for us. But it's like you get some zealot who wants to go and is mad about how someone tried to kill his dad, and we end up in 20 years of war in the Middle East, which for what? Can we even talk about what we gained from this? And now all of a sudden I'm sitting here like Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, I'm not going to vote for a Republican. I'm not Hillary Clinton. She wants war. And then Trump wins, and now he's the guy who hasn't started a war. He's the guy who's got historic peace agreements in the Middle East. He's the guy who's withdrawing our troops, and I'm like, I still think war is bad. Hello? Left? No.
Yeah.
They're complaining about Trump doing this. And you know what bothers me? Is that even, like, I don't understand The Intercept, right? Glenn Greenwald's outlet, because he's complained about Russiagate. Here, Russiagate was nonsense. He complains about the media. I totally agree, Glenn. He says, here's criticism of Trump. And I'm like, man, right there, you know? And then he says, this is really great that Trump is ending war. I'm like, dude, Glenn, this is fantastic. So are we voting for Trump now? And he goes, no. His outlet starts putting out all this, Trump is bad. You know, the far left is good. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, tribalism. That's tribalism.
It's almost like Glenn Greenwald is part of that left libertarian hacker kind of thing that happened. And he is still he's pulled into this weird new left that is either identitarian or pro-war establishments, you know, cabal.
I think
like
he's
corporatist.
identitarian, Glenn Greenwald. He just doesn't like Trump.
I don't think he's an identitarian. He criticizes the woke SJW stuff.
Right, but he dislikes Trump so much.
But that's just tribalist.
Yeah.
That's just orange man bad.
Maybe I'm conflating the words identitarian
Yeah.
and tribalist.
I think you're right. I think there's too many people on the left who refuse to accept that they are better off with Trump than with Joe Biden.
Yeah.
I don't care. That's what I was saying when you're talking about this phone call with Arthur. If someone called me and said that, I'd be like, yeah, F you, click. I don't care. I don't care if it's Trump. I don't care if it's Biden. I don't care if it's Hillary. You tell me something that's good, I'll give you credit for it. And if I think you're doing a good enough job, I will vote for you for it. The riots flipped me.
Yeah.
I was like, I remember last year, I was like, I'm never going to vote for this strike. Are you crazy? It'll never happen. Nothing will ever change my fires,
I knew you were going to change your
explosions.
mind.
And I'm like, so where's the vote for Trump box? Is this it? I'm going to press this button right here.
You said earlier you thought that some wars are good,
Yeah.
like
World War II.
defensive wars.
That's bad, but we have to do it. Right? If we get invaded, which we've never been invaded. Well, maybe like if you go way back and talk about like the territories and stuff, you know, we've had conflict on our own ground. But in modern history, all of the conflicts we fought have been going other places. And it's usually been like we've had a lot of failures. The U.S. has had a lot of stupid failures.
Korea, Vietnam.
I wouldn't necessarily say Korea was a failure. I'm actually kind of happy the U.S. went to Korea because I have family. I probably wouldn't be here if the U.S. didn't intervene. But it still split the country in half. Vietnam was a disaster. And the Gulf of Tonkin was complete BS. What got us into the war was complete BS. Afghanistan and Iraq, complete disasters. And all the other stupid, excursions that we do in South and Central America. America does a lot of really dumb things for a lot of really dumb reasons. But World War II, I understand. World War II is like, look, right now here's one of the most difficult questions. We're looking at China. China's got concentration camps, man. They're harvesting organs. The things they're doing to these people is what nightmares are made of. Then we got the oppression in Hong Kong as well, and they're expanding. They're doing strike groups going through the South China Sea past Taiwan, and there's fears that they're going to try and seize Taiwan. They claim Taiwan is part of China. Taiwan says otherwise. There's going to be a major conflict. What do we do?
I'm anti-intervention always.
Even if it's 1 million people having their organs harvested?
Always.
See, for me, I wouldn't say I'm absolutely against intervention, but when it comes to intervention, leaning away from it, but we'll entertain it if there's an atrocity happening.
Even when we've went into war with the best intentions, there's always unintended consequences. Look at what happened with Libya. We've went in there, we destabilized a whole bunch of things, and now they have open air slave markets.
I know, that's...
Even if we're doing something and selling it to the public as good, there's always going to be a drawback. And I firmly believe in only engaging in war if the U.S. is directly threatened or if it's in our national interest in a way that, there's no other option.
Should we have intervened in World War II?
No.
I
don't think so. And I don't think we should have entered World War I. And I think that World War II wouldn't have happened without World War I.
That's an interesting point, because I was talking to Michael Malice about this, and I had a very generic, ignorant view of World War I, and I need to do my homework on it. But he mentioned it was a war of alliances.
Yeah.
World War II was clear cut. Like this, what Nazi Germany was doing was just like evil.
Well,
oh yeah.
We didn't even enter World War II to stop the Holocaust. People didn't even know about the stuff that was happening. The debate here was America First people, and there was actually an America First committee back then. It disbanded right when Pearl Harbor was attacked, but the argument was about whether or not we should be engaging in European conflict and whether or not we should be helping England. It had nothing to do with stopping atrocities, because nobody knew, and a lot of this didn't start until later. So
sure.
That's not why we entered World War II. We entered World War II to help England. Technically we entered because Pearl Harbor got attacked, right. But they had been pushing for it because...
Well, I think it's fair to point out we got attacked by Japan and then sent soldiers to Europe.
Right.
But hindsight being 2020, and I think that's not necessarily the best point, I think it ended up being good.
Yes.
We ended what they were doing. But now we know what China is doing. So I'm not saying we should have an intervention into China or anything like that.
Right.
I'm just saying, I think absolutism is dangerous. To reject all war all the time.
I support defending our country.
For sure,
I support defending our borders. I support, if there's something that's in our national interest that is unavoidable, I support it in that case. And I'm not going to sit here and say that it was bad to stop Nazi Germany,
right.
But I do think that there were consequences of that. And I think that, look at Dresden, look at what happened, look at what happened all over Germany and how many people died and how many of our people died for something that had nothing to do with us. And
they were killing a lot of people. So a lot of people ended up living because we came in and stopped
them. And I fully agree with that. It's just there are consequences to these things. And now, because of World War II and that being successful, they argue this for every intervention.
Right.
They say, well, what would you have wanted Hitler to win? Would you want to be speaking German right now? And so they've used this to justify everything that's come later. And so a lot of people have died because of it.
I agree.
That's just my opinion.
I agree. I think there's been a lot of mistakes where the U.S. has intervened and failed. And then World War II becomes the key example of why it's good, because that was really important that ended,
right.
That we shut those people down. The challenge now is how do we deal with China? Look, I don't believe the United States are the world's police, but I do have a concern that we're watching China arm up. We're watching them abuse their neighbors, Potential war with India could happen, and India is an ally of ours. And so we're seeing the atrocities they commit. We're seeing them defy international law and norms, setting up military bases on the South China Sea atolls and things like that, or the Pacific atolls. They're spreading, encroaching, and becoming more and more powerful. I don't like the idea of just intervention. We don't like what they're doing. They may threaten us. Preemptive war. That's a terrible idea. But if the other side of that coin is if we sit back while they expand in South America and Africa, gaining resources and buying out all these countries, eventually you'll be living in an authoritarian communist country.
And China is an interesting case because I think they own farmland in the U.S. that I think is equal to the size of Ohio. My boyfriend, Brett McDonald, has wrote about this extensively. But they are buying a lot of land here, and I don't agree with that either. And I think China is an interesting case, and there is, there are arguments to be made for intervening there. But when you're talking about intervention broadly, you have to think about why you care about these atrocities, because there's atrocities all over the world at any given time. Yeah. I mean, look what happened. Look at Yemen, but they don't want you to care about Yemen. They want you to care about Venezuela. Why is that? And so they pick and choose the atrocities that they want to highlight and the ones that we need to save people from. And there's always another motive for it. And I guarantee that the weapons manufacturers are not concerned about the fact that people are starving. That's not why they want to go there. So.
Yeah, we've had drone strikes in Yemen. We had Obama killing Americans. Abdul Rahman al-Awlaki, I believe, was in Yemen, killing an American citizen without charge or trial, and then saying, "Oopsie."
Well, Luke got that great video. He confronted his press secretary and
Luke
was like,
Rudkowski of We Are Change.
Yeah, he was like, and he comments about the fact that you guys killed an American teenager. And I think it was his press secretary was like, he should have had a different father.
A better dad.
A better father,
better dad. Yeah. Is that why he was killed?
Yeah.
In my opinion. Maybe it's a little bit conspiratorial, but I kind of feel like, for those that aren't familiar, there's a man named Anwar al-Awlaki. He was preaching jihad against the U.S. Obama drone striked him. And then 2 weeks later, I think it was, in a country we were not at war with, they drone striked a civilian restaurant, killing his 16-year-old son, who I believe was born in like Boulder, Colorado.
Yeah, it was Colorado.
That sounds to me like Obama saying, we will kill your children if you F with us. The official story was, we were targeting someone else. It was a mistake. The question then is, why were we targeting someone at a civilian restaurant in a country we are not at war with? Because they don't care. Yeah, it's like a kid with a magnifying glass from above just dropping a bomb on a restaurant. And that stuff causes harm to America. It's what CIA called it blowback. We like, could you imagine you blow up a restaurant? There's going to be people there. Like some dad's going to watch he's going to be across the street. It's going to be movie-esque, and he's going to see a restaurant get blown up. And they're going to see the drone. They're going to be panicking. His kid's going to be gone. And that guy's going to become radicalized in an instant. And he's going to do everything in his power against us because somebody made a mistake to go with the establishment narrative. I can't claim otherwise. I have no evidence. But then all of a sudden you end up with terror, conflict, and refugees. People fleeing these countries, their homes destroyed. And that creates even more conflict. And you know what? There are people who thrive on this stuff. They love it. They profit off of it. And the rest of us suffer because of it. So anyway,
well, that's why WikiLeaks is so important.
I'm not saying
they show you the true cost of war, and then you can make an informed decision as a public.
But to be fair, I mean, with WikiLeaks, how often have they released documents on China?
I'm not actually sure, but they've released a lot of documents that don't get as much exposure as U.S. stuff.
For sure.
I mean, they've released tons of files on even Russia. People are always like, how come they've never done anything on Russia? And there are cables on Russia. Like, go on their website and search. You'll find anything there.
I think there was like one point where someone asked Julian that or something, and he was like, these files are already public. They're like, why didn't you release these files? They were public. Someone sent us files that were already public, so we ignored it. Like, And I think Julian probably does what he thinks, or he was. I don't know what his capacity is now because of what's happening to him. But he probably focused on what he thought was the most important. And I'm not saying you have to agree with what he thinks is important. But I will argue that one of the arguments against WikiLeaks is that he was consistently targeting the U.S. And if you're only hitting us over and over and over again, it's going to be helping our adversaries.
That's not true, though. They just don't get as much coverage.
Right.
He's released all kinds of things from all the different nations all over the country. But we're not going to talk about those cables as much here. I mean, you can pull up WikiLeaks right now and type in any nation, and you're probably going to find thousands of documents.
Yeah.
It just depends what our media wants to cover, and our media isn't interested in things that are anti-war or things that, you know, make certain governments look bad. So, you know, I think that people are blaming Julian for the failings of the media on that argument.
Definitely.
Because
the New York Times got us into the wars, and other big mainstream outlets, they lied to us. Man, it's funny how a lot of my political views were shaped by growing up during this time. And it's kind of crazy when I think about how much I don't know from even 10 years before I was born. Like the context of how the media operated. I wonder if I was 10 years older and I saw the flip, how it's like pro-war under Democrat, then anti-war under Bush, and then pro-war under Obama again. I would have been sort of insulated from seeing, you know, from believing that the Democrats had my best interest, that they really thought war was bad. Yeah. And then I learned the hard way. I love it. When I voted for Obama in 2008, I'm like smiling with my friends. And I was like, you know, I was a skateboarder. I was kind of punk. I was kind of moving a little bit away from the far left. And then people were telling me like, dude, Obama's not one of these establishment people. He's like an up and coming dude. He's a regular guy. And I'm like, cool. And I went in and I'm like, yeah, Obama. And then the first thing Obama does when he gets inaugurated is I think it was an airstrike on a village killing women and children. And I was like, wait a minute. What? You told me that was bad. They're like, no, it's good. It's good. It's like, what do you mean it's good? You told me nonstop it was bad. I voted for this guy.
These are hope and change drones.
Oh, that's right. The drone, the missile said hope, and the Reaper said said hope, and the Hellfire said change.
When
hope and change blew up those women and children.
When they got in, they did that Let's Move campaign. I don't know if you guys remember. Michelle Obama had a Let's Move campaign, and it was originally about cutting sugar out of your diet, and the sugar industry did not like that, so they got their fingers in there and then switched it and made it into an exercise campaign. That sugar industry is insidious, man. It's one of the most addictive drugs on earth.
Sugar!
And it's like the tobacco industry of the 70s.
People don't realize
selling
this.
Sugar to kids.
All war, all conflict, all conspiracy. Sugar industry. Big sugar.
I was wondering.
There's like a guy selling candy canes with shifty eyes.
You know how there's this military-industrial complex that they built after World War II? It was like the British and the English and the French just wanted to prevent World War III. I wonder if there's a Chinese military-industrial complex that we don't hear anything about.
Oh, yeah.
Or if it's all one complex.
Do you know the name of the Chinese state spy agency?
No.
They just call it Beijing. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was that? That was in a show. Someone was talking about it, but it's a good point. Like the CIA, the KGB, or what is the Russian thing now? FSB, I think.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Like, I don't.
And they just say Beijing. I think there's like a Mission Impossible movie or something. Unless there actually is a name. I know they have like this like they just call it like the State Ministry of like Service or something like that. But yeah, there definitely is. Trump was talking about this. Now you got to admit, war is bad, but don't you love Trump's blunt honesty on this stuff? Because one of my all-time favorite things Trump has ever done was when he walked up to the reporters and they're like, what's going on with this weapons deal? Oh, it's really great. We're giving all of these weapons to Saudi Arabia. We're going to make a lot of money, you know? And then all the anti-war people were like...
I was horrified.
But he just said it.
Yeah.
He just came out and admitted war profiteering, essentially. Mm-hmm. And I'm like...
But he also calls out the military-industrial complex. Like, he's done it twice now in, like, solid
when he's
terms.
talking about Syria and he's like... you know what I love? I think he does it on purpose to get at them. Trump wanted to withdraw from Syria.
Yeah.
And they all started complaining, oh no, the oil. So Trump left soldiers in. And now he's just like, we're withdrawing our troops from Syria, but we're keeping the oil. So the soldiers are still there to guard the oil. That's what we're doing. But we're getting... I think he's saying it specifically as like, that's what the U.S. is doing. Like, that's what they wanted. They complained when he wanted to get our troops out, and that's what we're there for.
Oil and the hair with the poppy seeds, basically.
In Afghanistan.
Which is how they make opium.
We can't grow poppy here.
I don't know.
Lemon poppy muffins are fantastic.
They're delicious.
Yeah.
Other than oil and poppy seeds, I don't know why we're over there.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., so come back to check us out when we go live. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and we are also available on all podcast platforms for free if you want to listen to us there. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you all next time.